Hello and welcome to Click on Sports. I'm your host, Harry Kettle. Today we are joined by a very special guest. She is a professional mixed martial arts fighter for the UFC and holds an 11-5 pro record. It is none other than Liz Carmouche. Liz, how are you today?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And first off, it's been nearly a year since your last fight. How have the last 12 or so months been following your victory at UFC 205?
Everything has gone really well. I'm just really looking forward to getting back in there. I hate taking time off. I know that the longevity of fight career, you need to take those breaks, you need to heal, and you need to let your body rest. But that my first year of fighting really set a precedent for what I expected, and I think I had 8 or 9 fights between amateur and professional career. And so I just always expected everything to go. I would have a fight every few weeks, every few months. But now I look back and I realize that it's much smarter to have a full camp, have the opportunity to really concentrate, to put all your focus into it, all your energy, have rest days, healing, all of it's just the best for my career.
Yeah, and you're going to be obviously stepping back into the octagon in the next few months. But was there a part of you that wanted to get on the card for Madison Square Garden once again, or did you not really mind where it was you were going to be fighting?
No, I really have no preference for where. If anything, I like to fight in different venues and experience new cities, a new fan base, see new things instead of fighting in the same area. Even the idea of having another fight in California, I'd much prefer to go somewhere like Brazil or New Zealand, somewhere exotic, and at least have something different in the area, a different horizon.
So does the fact that you want to go to different places stem from the fact that probably because you grew up you were obviously born in Louisiana, but you spent a few years in Japan. So does the fact that you want to go to new places stem from that?
No, not at all. I mean, growing up on a tropical island, I lived in Okinawa, Japan for 17 years. So really being stateside is living in a whole different environment for me. But I think just having experienced world travels at such a young age and going to different countries, seeing different cities, it sparks that desire to see new cultures and experience everything the world has to offer.
So in terms of your upbringing, like you just mentioned, living in Japan, do you accredit that with helping to shape you into becoming the person and maybe even the fighter that you are today?
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. I came, being raised in that environment, it's a different culture, specifically Okinawans in general, or even a different culture from traditional Japanese. And that absolutely accredits to who I am, not only as a person, but also as a fighter.
Yeah. At what point in your life do you think you realised that mixed martial arts was 100% the path that you wanted to go down?
I honestly, it wasn't even until a few years ago. I think that once I got into the UFC is when I finally realized that this is what I wanted to give 100% of my efforts into. Up until that point, I didn't know if I had what it took. I didn't know if I would, not only just my own personal well-being of what I'd be able to come to, but also I just didn't know if I had the funds to do it, if I had the energy, if I had the right lifestyle, if everything that was involved in my life was going to help me follow those pursuits. And it wasn't until I hit the UFC and having such a great team behind me and realizing that even if I didn't think that I had the funds to do it, if I didn't think that I had the energy to, that I had other training partners and coaches that were going to be there to help push me one more step and make sure that it happened.
So when you look back now on that first fight in the UFC against Ronda, do you think that you at the time realised just how big a moment that was for mixed martial arts and women in general?
At the time, I absolutely did not realize it. Not even close. I didn't think. I had an idea of where it could possibly head to after that, but I was honestly just so focused on the fight and just trying to deal with everything that was coming at me at such speeds that I couldn't possibly anticipate anything the sport was going to become.
Yeah, and something interesting that I kind of picked up on was that you fought 2 of your first 3 fights actually in Tijuana. What was that experience like, and just how different is it fighting in environments like that or arenas like that compared to, like we've said, Madison Square Garden?
Very different in a lot of different ways. One, in TJ, the venues themselves aren't very large, so it doesn't allow for as many bodies as can possibly pack into a UFC venue. So the energy that you can get it can never reach that same potential. So that's one really huge difference. The other thing is every time that we wanted to go fight, you have to go over through the customs, and on the way home, it's hours of trying to get back through something that I don't even have to worry about here. I have security that helps me get to the venue. And then another thing too is I can remember fighting in TJ, there being a fight that broke out, knives coming out and everything, and we had to jump a fence to escape from the whole situation, something that I would never have to worry about at, say, Madison Square Garden or another venue that the UFC throws.
Wow, that's quite the experience. And switching tracks a little bit now, outside of the octagon, what would you say some of your favourite hobbies or interests are that people may not be aware of?
Quite a few. I think for some people would say that I'm an adrenaline junkie. I think that I like to not have fear hold me back in life. I think a lot of times there have been places in my life where I stayed in the situation too long out of fear. And so I've kind of made it my motto since then that if I'm scared of something, I have to face it head on that much stronger to overcome it. So whether it be kind of afraid of heights, so I decided to do skydiving and then fell in love with it, or going snowboarding, surfing, you name it. If it's challenging and different, then I want to try it out.
Is that in terms of that kind of mentality, is that a message that you, with your platform being a UFC fighter, you want to be able to push into the mainstream? So in terms of younger fans watching, is that kind of message just, don't be afraid, don't be fearful? Is that something you really want to push, given your stature as a UFC fighter?
Certainly. I think that more importantly, what I want to push is that you're capable of achieving any dream. That can't is simply a word that you put as a restraint on yourself. And when you restrict yourself from life, you're missing out on opportunities. When you tell yourself you can do anything, it may be difficult. It may be something you have to work for, but when you achieve it, it's that much better. So I think that's more of something that I'd rather push, is the idea that you're capable, as people, we're capable of doing anything that we want, anything we can. We just have to set our eyes on it, set our goals, and reach as hard as we can without stopping for it.
Yeah. And in terms of back onto your fight career now, your upcoming fight will be against Alexis Davis in obviously what will be a rematch of your November 2013 bout. Is it more personal for you, given that you've already fought her and that you may want to get that win back, or is it just another day at the office?
In one sense, absolutely. I think there are a lot of factors that I contribute to that loss, and I want to show everybody that I'm better than the fighter that appeared on that day and come out. And it's for my own personal well-being, as I know that I'm a much better fighter than I demonstrated that day, and I want to go back and show everybody that that's the case. It's also a huge thing because it's my first fight at 125. I've never fought, not amateur and not professional, at 125. I can't even remember a time I was ever that small. So this is, in and of itself, just everything about it, encompassing it, is going to be a huge achievement and a huge personal goal for me.
Now, fighters often have varying views on how long they want to stay in the game or how long they might be able to stay in the game. But for you, how long do you envisage yourself fighting for?
It's a good question, and it's something that we talked about. I've seen some fighters that have retired and wondered what brought them to that decision. I don't feel like my road is ready to end yet as far as my fight career. And I think that even if it was, it's not something I could just step away from. I have a huge team that I care about. So even if my own personal career is over, I'll still be helping them get ready. It's just not something that I can just walk away from smoothly. That some form or another, I'm an athlete and I always will be. So if that means I have to stop following fighting and pursuing fighting, then I'll do it in some other venue, whether it be jiu-jitsu or something else.
Is maybe coaching something you've ever considered? Because I think you're just speaking to you now, you come across as someone who's great at driving a message into someone and being quite inspirational in a lot of ways. So is coaching something maybe you've ever thought of after?
Absolutely, yeah. And we do, I do not only teach classes here at both of my gyms to help coach people, but go to the fights with people and corner them. So I definitely see that just advancing even more and becoming more of a all-encompassing and full-time lifestyle.
Yeah. You've spent, obviously, the majority of your career, especially in the UFC at bantamweight. When you look up and down that division, would you say it's the strongest it's ever been? And in terms of women in the UFC as a whole, do you think that it's just going to keep going from strength to strength?
Absolutely. I think not only for the bantamweight division, but for all of them, there's nothing but potential for growth in all those divisions. And I think more and more now that we're seeing MMA available and more mainstream for everybody. I mean, there was a period when I started off where women weren't even allowed in MMA gyms. And that's changing so much. I mean, I see women involved in every single class now. It's offered in high schools and in middle schools as a school program. So all that can do is just set the possibilities to the sky.
In terms of your military career, which is something that some people may know about, some may not, talk to us just, I don't know, a little bit about that experience and what kind of lessons you learned from that and what kind of lessons you've used from that to take forward into where you are today.
I was in the Marine Corps for 5 years, 4 months. I did 3 tours to Iraq. And I mean, one thing that it taught me is I went into the Marine Corps and I specifically told my recruiter, whatever you do, just don't give me anything for electricity. What I would really love is just to never sit down. I want to have a job that's going to be constantly pushing me. It's a physical exercise in and of itself. I want to learn something new. However, like most people in the military, I said, please don't give me this. So that's the exact job that I got. I was an electrician on helicopters. But what it taught me is even in something that I had so many negative emotions going into, and I didn't want to be involved in, I was still able to make the best of it. I was able to have 3 good deployments. I learned so many different lessons from each of those. I was able to be a good electrician, achieve certain accomplishments that I never would have thought possible, and certainly were never set there as a possibility for me. But I turned what could have been a really bad situation into a really great thing, both for myself, and it gave me the confidence to leave the Marine Corps and to follow other dreams. Up until that point, I let fear lead my life. And it was really by going to Iraq 3 times and being involved in the Marine Corps that I started making it a different lifestyle for myself and not letting fear hold me back from anything.
Yeah. And finally, as we just kind of begin to wrap things up, this is something we like to ask everybody. What do you think the next 18 to 24 months have in store for Liz Carmouche?
I think in the next 18 to 24 months, it's going to be the 125 title around my waist. I know that that's right around the corner with the Tough Show, and I know that I'm set. I've been one of the largest advocates for having the 125 division, and it's just a matter of time, and that's a perfect time frame for when I'll be able to bring that home.
Yeah. Well, Liz, it's been really, really interesting speaking with you today, and we can't wait to see you get back in the octagon.
Thank you so much.